Good morning, guys. So civil war in the United Kingdom is inevitable at this point because of the two-tier system that we have. Now, guys, I wanted to wait until we had some more statistics about this Notting Hill Carnival before I made a video on it. Last night, I did a video before I went to bed, and then I did a video earlier on in the day when I said, guys, the Notting Hill Carnival's today. I said, let's wait and see what happens and how the police react to this. Now, I know there's been a lot of arrests and that's fine, but what I want to give you guys is the dimension of the two-tier system. Now, I'm going to talk briefly about the Notting Hill Carnival. And then what I want you to do while you're thinking about this, imagine this was a protest by family people. Imagine this was a yearly annual event by other people, by other communities. Imagine, for example, imagine if this was a St. George's Day parade, all right? And when I'm talking about this, and then try and contextualize what would happen to that event. So this is from the Metropolitan Police. Update as of 9 o'clock last night. So this is from 9 o'clock. So no doubt more things will have happened. There'll be more incidents, more updates. But I want to do an update now, and then I'll give you a final update once everything's cleared and the smoke's cleared. So 3 stabbings. A 32-year-old woman is in hospital with life-threatening conditions. A 29-year-old man and a 24-year-old man. They've all been stabbed. So 3 stabbings so far as of 2100 last night. 15 officers have been assaulted. 90 arrests have been made so far for the following. Remember, so far, 10 assaults on emergency workers. Remember when it came out earlier that, I think earlier this year, that assaults on emergency workers were going to be, that was going to be a new category of crime. 18 possessions of offensive weapons. I can only assume these are going to be, knives and not placards with offensive words on them, or potentially Facebook posts. 4 sexual offences, 8 possessions of Class A drugs, 4 possessions of nitrous oxide. Again, I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's something to do with street racing. 1 theft from a person, 8 possessions of drugs with intent to supply, 6 assaults, 4 robberies, 13 possessions of Class B drugs, 5 possessions of drugs other, 1 public order offence, and 8 other offences. Now, can you imagine, guys, just for a second, if this was a St. George's Day parade? If this happened at a St. George's Day parade, if it happened once, the whole St. George's Day parade would be banned, it would be far right, people would be sent to jail, and it would be ostracized, and it would never be allowed to happen again. Do we have a precedence of this happening? Do we? Let's have a look then. Let's have a look for previous incidents. So here we are, guys, from Notting Hill Carnival data. So this is from the Met Police website. I'll put the links in the description. So 2017, 12 stabbings. 2018, 7 stabbings. 2019, 18 stabbings. 2022, 7 stabbings, including 1 fatal. 2023, 10 stabbings. And it just goes on and on and on. The amount of crime and stabbings and drugs and absolute debauchery that goes on at these events. Can you just imagine if this was the historic outcome of a St. George's Day celebration? Not only would the St. George's Day celebration be banned, but St. George would be banned. We'd have it taken off our history, and we wouldn't be able to have fly the cross of St. George. It's just absolutely insane. And this is why we're heading towards civil war, because people are not stupid. People watch this on TV. People watch this on their phones. And it's all well and good, Sadiq Khan coming out saying they've had what did he say? He said something ridiculous like they've had a fantastic time at the Notting Hill Carnival. Well, I can pretty much guarantee those people who've been stabbed have not had a great time. All the arrests, the assault on emergency workers, the assault on police officers, all this stuff. People are watching this. We are watching this in real time. And we're seeing the dystopia. We're seeing the dystopia of when this happens, you know, it's enrichment, it's you know, it's celebrating other people's culture. And then when people disagree with this, or when people say they don't like it, or when people say that the crime rate at these events is too much, they're ostracized, they're put in jail 20 months for a Facebook post. And people are seeing this, and this is how you drive a wedge in society. This is how you radicalize people. And this is, guys, that if things keep going this way, and I've said this so many times now, we are going to get to a stage at Christmas time in the winter when people are paying their people are going to work, they're paying their taxes, you know, then they can't afford to put food on their table, they can't afford Christmas presents, they can't afford to look after their family, they can't afford to put the heating on, but they're still paying their taxes. And this tax money, where is it being spent? You know, we're going to see billions spent here, billions spent there. And we all know what I'm talking about, guys. You know, I don't want to dwell on this too much. And that's going to make this, the element that are far right, you know, the element that really are vile and disgusting. And I do mean that. Guys, I need to separate here between the far right and what the media tell people are the far right, because the media tell people anybody who disagrees with mass migration, you know, it's not even migration anymore, is it? It's mass. I can't think of another word for it, guys. You know, mass influx of foreign cultures into our cultures. If you disagree with that, you're a far right racist. And that's the problem, because people are seeing this with their own eyes, and they're seeing people at these protests. You know, you've got nanans walking their dogs and waving union flags. You've got granddads. You know, what's pushed them into that far right category? What I'm talking about now, though, guys, let's go back slightly. There is an element of far right extremists, and it's sickening. You know, if you talk to these people, they are disgusting. You know, there's no way around that. But that group is just going to become more militarized. That group is just going to become more extreme, and then people are going to start to sympathize with that group. And you had this in Northern Ireland, guys. Does the government not see the lessons we learned from Northern Ireland? We spent enough years there doing this sort of thing and trying to deal with it. The lessons from Northern Ireland need to be applied to mainland UK right now, because you're going to get this underbelly, this scourge, this far right extremist fringe become militarized, and then they're going to get the support of the passives, the people who wouldn't normally support those people. And guys, I'll be quite clear, I will never support that. You know, I will never support that. What I will support is normal people wanting to live their lives, you know, in a normal fashion. These lines are starting to become murky, and this is where you get polarization, because if you're you're getting told you're a far right, you know, you're a far right extremist, and you're over there, so you're like, right, okay, well, you guys don't like me, so I guess I'll go over here, and that's the polarization. But sorry, I'm waffling again, guys. This is a huge topic, and I should probably do a video on, you know, radicalization and, you know, extremism. The far right group that will militarize, it will harden, it will become more extreme. They will go after people, and they're going to go after key people in the government. And once they start doing that, then this whole thing becomes the floodgates open then, because then you'll have military trying to close down those people, the police trying to close down those people, and then you'll have your own police force trying to close down the population because they're against these people. But there's too many lines, and you know, the whole thing becomes really murky on what people want. And in these groups there's subgroups, and then those subgroups will turn into splinter groups, and by the end of it, nobody will know what's happening, and it will just be chaos on the streets. And what we see at the moment, it's going to look like we will look back by the time the next election. We will look back right now, and even though how bad the crime is right now, guys, we will look back before the next election and say, wow, do you know what, 2024 things weren't that bad. We only had a few knife killings every month. Now we're having, you know, it's just increased, because, you know, once this happens, it escalates more and more, because somebody does something, then somebody gets angry, then they do something worse, then these guys do something worse. And all the time that this is happening, We've got foreign actors, we've got state actors in bot forms pushing propaganda to both sides. You will literally have, you know, the likely, and again, you know, obviously I don't know this for 100% certainty, but I could say with a high percentage because of, you know, of the reality of the situation. You know, it's easy to do. You're going to most probably have bot farms somewhere like, I don't know, Russia, North Korea, any one of these countries, you name them, Iran, and you will literally have, you know, maybe a room of 100 people, 50 people, whatever, and somebody will come down the middle and they'll say, right, you lot on that side, you guys push this agenda. You lot on that side, push this counter agenda. Bring the team leaders into me, and then the team leaders will, you know, come with a narrative, and both sides will push the narrative, and they will push the escalations together, and then things happen naturally on their own. And guys, that's why, you know, these things are happening in real time. You can't say that there's not a two-tier system now. Nobody can argue. Nobody. You can't argue that there's a two-tier system. If there's somebody out there that has an intelligible argument on and can explain to me how this is not a two-tiered system, and it's not just two-tiered policing, it's two-tiered society. It really is. If somebody's out there and they can intelligibly, yeah, that's a word, you know, explain to me how this is not a two-tiered system, how this is not going to lead to civil war, and how this is not going to lead to mass civil unrest, please explain to me, because I am all ears and I would love to be educated. But anyway, guys, I'm going to mag to grid, and that's it. You know, dark times are coming. What we're seeing on the streets now, it's only a sign of things to come. And just look after yourselves, guys. Make sure you can look after yourself, because also, for those of you who've seen the Nandos footage of the girl having a plate thrown in her face, you know, again, you know, we don't know the pre-context of this. We don't know what happened behind it. But I've seen an interview from a girl who claims she, again, you know, we don't know if any of this stuff's true. But the perception is that we've seen there's a girl now. She's come out and she said, I was the girl who was hit in the face with this, you know, of this incident, and she explains what happened. Now, the thing that's most interesting for me is that there was actually police in that Nandos at the time, and the girl, you know, she claimed she went to the police and told them straight away, and the police just brushed it off, and they didn't do anything about it. They wouldn't even look at the CCTV footage that day. And then, as I understand it, when they went back, the police, and looked at the CCTV footage, they then said, well, there's no audio. We don't know what's being said. We don't know what the altercation was between you. Does it matter? Is that okay now? Are you allowed to, you know, are you allowed to whack people in the face with plates because they say something nasty to you? I don't know, but you know, from the police's point of view, that kind of seems to be the reality. Obviously, the police have come out, they've made an apology, and they're reinvestigating this. But they're only doing that, guys. They're only reinvestigating this because it got put out onto social media. Because it got put onto one of these platforms that the government are trying to ban. Because if we can't see what's happening, we can't complain. If we can't complain, you know, they don't have to do their jobs. But the thing about the Nandos incident for me was you know, obviously it's terrible what's happened to that girl, and it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, she shouldn't have to nobody should have to go to work and, you know, just accept having a plate rammed in your face. But the thing for me is the police's incompetence. Now, if that's happening there, how many other incidents are there around the country where the police are just yeah, whatever, Facebook post, you know, because this is like, you know, this is the situation. So when I tell you to look after yourselves, that's because we just have to accept in the United Kingdom, and we should always accept that you should, guys, this is not just in the United Kingdom. I think this is everywhere. You should always take your own security and your own safety. You know, you should always take that on board and take that as your own responsibility. But what we're seeing in the United Kingdom is, certainly from this incident, certainly from the policing incidents, that the police are very selective with how they deal with things, and they don't always deal with things, you know, the same. You know, one person can commit one crime and they get off with it. Another person can commit a lesser crime and they go to jail for 20 months. that's, you know, that's just historically what we're seeing. That's not my opinion. That's what we've seen over the last couple of days, over the last couple of weeks. We have literally seen that in real time. And again, that feeds back into the narrative, what I said right at the beginning of this video, guys. Civil war, I feel, is inevitable, the way we're going in the United Kingdom at the moment. But anyway, guys, like I said, look after yourself. I am going to mag to grid. I'll get you another video later.